What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home. Yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? We're back with another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Luke Farrell. We can't thank you guys enough for listening each and every other week. We've been putting out these shows. This is episode 171 of highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. And we have one of those places and events that make St. Louis special here. Opening night is actually tomorrow. So if you guys are listening when the episode drops, which I hope you are, we have Jack Marsh, the executive and artistic director of Circus Flora in St. Louis. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming in. I mean, it was hard to get our schedules to match up. We were going to do it remote, I think, at one point, but it's cool that you're in town and we can get this out. So first, Jack, tell me about Circus Flora, because we're in the heat of it right now. I mean, it kicks off tomorrow, goes through the 22nd.
Yep, through the 22nd of June. Yeah, so we're a St. Louis-based circus, and it's a world-class show that we put on every June for our audience. We bring performers from all over the country, all over the world, and piece it together with a St. Louis-based creative team and make this really incredible and unique show.
Yeah.
This is going to be our 39th season, so we've been around for a little while now.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of St. Louis families, we're an annual tradition. People who, and at this point, people who went when they were kids are now bringing their kids. It's this really kind of beautiful thing for the city, and it's such a fun show that we put a lot into. Obviously, like great performers, but then we also add in a wonderful band of St. Louis-based musicians with all original music that we play to really like highlights the show and brings this like extra element to it. It's really fun. If you've never been, I really encourage you to come see us this year.
Yeah, it's special. And you guys are in the Arts District of St. Louis. Obviously, the Grand Center Arts District, Kranzbergs are over there.
Mhm.
Obviously, if anybody that goes around Midtown, they know the Big Top. They know the Big Top. My office used to be right at the On God Arts Hotel, so I could like see it from my window. I would see you guys.
Yeah, our performers are staying at the On God right now,
Perfect.
so they like get to look over the
And it's an
over the
art
tent.
hotel too, so
Yeah.
it's amazing. So what does it mean as you as a New York guy? Obviously, art is everywhere in New York. It's one of the most creative cities. I mean, it's a big city, so of course creativity is going to flow there. But what can you touch on in St. Louis, because you have a unique perspective of somebody that gets to see. You don't live here full time, so how does like the St. Louis arts community? I mean, as a smaller city, like we just wrap our arms around the art community. It seems like.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic
Yeah.
to be a part of the arts community here. I mean, I as you said, I split my time back and forth between New York and St. Louis, but I get to be here quite a bit and experience all these like amazing cultural institutions that are here. Like in the last couple of days, I went to see Shakespeare and I went to opera theater the other night. Like there's just so much really great stuff to do, and it all feels really like accessible and and high level and like world class. Like there's a lot of great stuff to do, and being a St. Louis nonprofit, I mean, we get to see firsthand like the wonderful sort of generous spirit of the city of St. Louis towards its arts institutions. I think it's we St. Louis are one of two cities in the country that have a dedicated circus that is their own. It's us and Sarasota, Florida,
Really?
with Circus Sarasota that has a nonprofit circus institution that is there that this isn't a commercial touring show that puts on.
Pop-up, yeah.
Yeah. So we we get to do that because of the warm embrace of the city and its people. It's been really special, and I think out of that, I think drives a really great relationship between our show and between the community. Like it just coming to our tent, coming to our show,
Mhm.
it just has this great familial vibe. You get people who have come for years and they're so excited to be back. They're excited for what's new. They're excited to see something that they've maybe are familiar with from prior years. Like there's this wonderful mix, but it all feels like a giant family, and that's true within the show. That's true with our audience. That's true, obviously, you know, family members that are attending together. But we're all a big family,
Yeah.
sort of globally, and it's really nice. I think only a place like St. Louis can really make that happen.
I know it's crazy. Like a lot of times we take those things for granted as St. Louis people. And you mentioned Shakespeare in the Park. Like a lot of these things are free or affordable, and the zoo and all these different things you can do in St. Louis that are free.
Yeah.
And you as a dad, me as a dad, I'm like, That's what we need. We
Yeah.
need more stuff like that."
Yeah, yeah. We
Um,
try we try really hard to keep our tickets
yeah,
affordable. I mean,
yeah,
our tickets start at $10 each.
exactly. I noticed that.
We want to try to be comparable to going out to a movie, but try to hopefully deliver on something live and visceral, and that you can
Yeah.
give your family a full experience that involves a lot and gives them something to talk about for at least the next few months.
So you've been around the industry for a long time. Obviously, I
Yeah.
read something, from toddler to ringmaster. You first entered, circus the ring at just 2 years old, and you were riding a Clydesdale, which ironically was also named Jack too as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So was that the moment? I mean, I don't think you can remember back to that. You probably have pictures, but like, how? Tell us about your upbringing. Like, what led you to this world?
Yeah, I mean, I took a bit of a winding path towards, or should I say, back towards the circus. So I started off at Circus Flora when it was founded in 1986. I was like a year and a half old,
Hmm.
but my mother has always been involved in Circus Flora from the beginning. She's folks who have been to see our show would know her. She's both our director of the show, but also plays like a white face clown. She's the we call her Yo-Yo, the storyteller.
Yeah,
She's a sort of omniscient narrator character.
amazing.
So that's my mom, who I still work with very closely, but she's always been involved in Circus Flora from the beginning. So I was always around, and you sort of,
Mhm.
as a kid growing up on a circus lot, you get used to, you're seeing people do these cool things. They look very fun. It's a very generous atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's true of the circus community as a whole. So I got interested in learning to juggle, learning to do some acrobatics. So I started to do that to perform. And yeah, I mean, when I was riding the Clydesdale at 1.5, I think I was just there to
For a
look
picture,
look
photo
hopefully
op.
cute. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I started to learn stuff and perform growing up a bit.
Yeah.
But as a kid, as a teenager, I wasn't certain that's what I wanted to do. I went off to college. I went to law school, worked as a corporate attorney for a few years. And then only after doing that was I like, oh, actually, the thing I want to be doing is making circuses,
Yeah.
and sort of bringing it back to where I started. So the founder of Circus Flora, David Balding, was getting older and wanting to make sure that the company was in good hands
Hmm.
going forward. And so he and I started talking, and I became artistic director. Unfortunately, he passed away a bit suddenly in 2014, but I took the mantle then.
Wow. Wow. So you've been, really in it. So you were a corporate lawyer. That's crazy. So that's just completely two different worlds,
Yeah, yeah,
I
pretty.
mean, you can't really be. I mean, you can be creative and artistic. So, how do you like how do you balance like being also the executive director too of the organization, because you're wearing a lot of hats to get this thing going. I mean, how do you balance that to put on a great show?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's producing is the sort of core of the
Yeah.
job, and that has a financial component that's making sure that the trains are running on time, that people
Yeah.
are getting paid, that you're keeping to budgets and
Of
so
course.
on. And then there's also like delivering on the artistic project, and making sure that it's at a high level and is
Yeah.
great. And obviously, like, there's always some tension there and some decision making, like,
Hmm.
are we is it should we be spending this money? Should we be increasing our budget for performers or set or whatever? Whatever is
Hmm.
the things that might drive costs. You have to think about that.
Yeah.
But at core, uh, the the need is to give a great show to our audience, to make sure that they're having a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, there's some tensions in the two roles, but it's if you have a decent budgeting process and kind of know what you need do to deliver a great show, then yeah, hopefully you can like make the plan with one side of your brain and then execute the plan with the other side of your
Mhm.
brain.
So we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but your mom, you get to work with your mom pretty closely. I mean, that has to be pretty fun and special. I mean, you don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, it's pretty unique that we do that. It's quite fun. I mean, we write the show together. We have different specialized roles. Like I would say I'm more a producer and she's more the director, but like
Hmm.
those things are closely intertwined and we work closely to just sort of put it up. There's not a lot of being siloed in the circus world. You're trying to, everyone's just working hard and trying to get the best show possible up.
Exactly.
So we get to work closely. We try to like, you know, I try not to be like mom in some of our like, conversations about work stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
bleeds into itself. But it's really a lovely thing to get to do. And I think pretty unique to, have my like, well, I gotta give my mom a call because I, need her to be like grandma for a couple minutes and talk about my kids, but then I also need her to
At the end of the call, you're
yeah.
like, okay, well, did you pick that stuff up or did you grab that? Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we talk about this clown or this
It's like
aerialist or
working
whatever?
with your like significant other, but just probably way different because it's just a different dynamic.
Yeah,
It's because like it's more like you're a partnership with your significant other, but when you work with your mom, they're still your mom, but also you're like we're trying to get something done,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you still have to. But it's just special to be able to look back on that, and then when your kids get to come in and see the show, and your mom, it's a true family experience,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what you're creating. So I want to talk about what people can expect. A lot of people that listen to our show have probably visited sometime. If you grow up in St. Louis, you've been to the circus, but like why do like I'm trying to explain like what type could you walk us through the experience? So let's just say I got two young kids. What is that experience like for families?
Yeah. So we open our gates an hour before showtime. So a lot of people will show up, between 30, 45 minutes before, and you go and get your concessions. You can get some popcorn and a hot dog
Hmm.
and anything else. Maybe your kids want to get their faces painted or something like that. There's various like fun games that are there. You can have fun if you get there a little while early. We also have a lovely VIP tent with that. If you have VIP tickets or upgrade, then there's free beer and wine and
Hmm.
some snacks and waters and sodas and such. You go get your take your seats and you're in for a really great show. So we run about a 2-hour show, including an intermission. And it's two things at once. It's both just an incredible world class circus where we have just these like amazing circus acts that come from all over the world, perform with the sort of biggest and best circus companies or fairs, or they come from sort of different universes, but all are like at the top of their game. So it's a variety show in that sense. It's everything from aerialists. We have these dogs called Mutts Gone Nuts. These really amazing
Yeah.
performing dogs. The flying Walendas on the high wire. We have a trampoline wall act called Off Axis, doing this like amazing acrobatics, jumping off of a building, landing on a trampoline, and bouncing back up. It's stunning. So things like this, these like really like acrobatic, high energy, fun acts mixed with comedy, mixed with beauty. Like we try to sort of hit your emotions from all angles. And then what's unique about Circus Flora is we're a storytelling circus.
Yeah.
So we wrap the entire show in a narrative that we write. So each of the acts are characters within this show, and then the show kind of winds through and finds these performers doing we find a way into the act that sort of is explaining what they're doing and why they are, and I think that adds an extra element of fun, and it gives you a little bit more to grab onto as a show, and it's really it's very unique. There's not really any other companies in the world presenting a show like we are.
I thought that was interesting too with the storytelling element, and that helps with the families too. Is like let's actually like show you a bunch of really cool stuff and really incredible and stunning views and like people doing insane things that you're like, whoa, wow. And you're just sitting there like, whoa, whoa. You're like chasing the screen or like the performing area, but then you're also like getting a story, so you're leaving with something. And
Yeah, and you're also there's something additive if you are you sort of get to know a character, you're rooting for them or you're rooting against them, or you're they're in love. You get a bit of their backstory as humans. You see their sort of real humanity before they do this kind of superhuman
yeah,
circus act that they might do. So you're like all of a sudden seeing like Uncle Fred, but Uncle Fred is now like 35 feet in the air
Yeah.
doing. There's no Uncle Fred, but
So
you,
how
you
do
get it.
the performers they love doing that too though? They probably enjoy it. Like that
Yeah,
different style because they're like, okay, I'm used to doing the same. Like they're clocking in, clocking. I mean, the other shows are incredible too, but like it's cool to be able to travel to a different city for 20 days and go do something cool and then go right back to your other thing that you were doing.
yeah. Our performers really enjoy it. I mean, it also I think brings our company together in a really unique way. Like we're sort of engaging each other in ways that are not really repeated elsewhere. Like we're all it's usually a kind of like offbeat, goofy story, and we all get really into it. Everyone puts their all into the sort of acting bit of it, and then also is obviously doing the act that they're used to doing. But we all work very closely together. We all sort of live on top of each other. We're either at a hotel down the street or we're in trailers on site. So
Hmm.
we're also having lots of meals together and there's a real camaraderie that Circus Flora creates within our company
Yeah.
that I think really does like uh, flow through to the product that we present to the world. You sort of see the joy that we all have in working with each other.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So I'm gonna read a little thing from your guys' website, and then we can kind of go into the show that's coming up from June 5th to June 22nd. So it says, urban legend invites you to into a world where folklore comes to life in a thrilling and unexpected ways, with daring acrobats, clever clowns, incredible performance dogs, and a monster. Can our talented and world-class circus performers calm the chaos and uncover its true nature? Find out in the full show of suspense, humor, and heart. Don't miss Urban Legend. So that's the
Yeah,
little
our
snippet.
blurb.
But what can you tell us about it? For obviously, tell us as much as you can to get us to come down to the show. Obviously, because
Yeah.
I know that there's some things, but tell us about Urban Legend and how you guys came about it.
Yeah, so it's a monster show.
Yeah,
There's a sort of idyllic small city and there's a monster lurking. We're thinking in the world of like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness monster,
of
like these
course.
things that are like people talk about. Maybe we're there, maybe not, and then I'll spoil that indeed there is a monster who shows up in the show. So the characters, the artists who are part of it are all characters within this town. There's a mayor. There's our clowns or this married couple called Daredevil Chicken. They play sort of like offbeat, the local weirdos is like how we think of them.
Yeah.
And then the police chief, the mailman, the cafe owner, like these sort of archetypal characters. So that's the sort of setting for the show. But the acts themselves are really stunning. Like there's a duo called Dauntless Duo, who is it's a this big guy named John Dutch, and he's on the ground and he has this pole that rests on his shoulders and then ultimately on his head, and it's like a 25-foot pole. And his partner Angela climbs up to the top of that pole and does acrobatics on it while it's resting on his shoulders or head. Like it's
Yeah.
this incredible thing. Like it takes up our entire tent. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The Flying Walendas are on the high wire. They're the most famous circus family in the world. They've been doing it for 8 generations now. You'll see 3 of those generations in our show.
Hmm.
There's Off Axis, this trampoline wall act. They're like incredible acrobatic energy, bouncing off a trampoline, running up a wall, bouncing off a trampoline, landing on a wall, flips, spins. Like it's this amazing high
Hmm.
energy act that closes the performance.
Yeah.
A duo called Alexi and Mary, who do they're a roller skating duo. So they have a platform and they're spinning in circles. Alexi is spinning on his roller skates while Mary is like attached to him by the arm or by the skates or by
Yeah.
she's like flying around him
Hmm.
at top speed. It's a really fun act. The local troupe called the St. Louis Arches from Circus Harmony.
Hmm.
They often perform down at the City Museum, but
Yeah.
they every year they come in and perform with Circus Flora, their sort of top level acrobatic troupe. And it's this like amazing local institution. It's produced some incredible circus artists that have come out of it. They including a few who are in this show. So Kyron Walton is this amazing, beautiful hand balancer. Grew up in St. Louis, then he went to Circus College in Montreal, and
Hmm.
then and now he's touring the world, but is coming back here for Circus Flora this year. Couldn't be more excited to have him. Book Kennison plays the mayor of this town. He's also a juggler and also from St. Louis, and
Hmm.
also grew up juggling at Circus Harmony.
So those are just quick calls. You're like, those are easy calls. You're like, you got to be a part of this. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we want to as much as we can. We want to
Yeah.
promote these incredible, folks who we knew as kids and who grew up, and I grew up knowing, and
Yeah.
are touring the world, but they they get to come back and be in Circus Flora again, and sort of give their artistic gifts back to the community where they started. It's really great.
Yeah, no, that's special. So I want to talk about the creative process a little bit. So, are you? How far out do you plan these shows? Do do you already know what next year is going to be, or
No, don't know
no?
what next year is
Oh,
going to be.
really?
Yeah.
When does that start, and how does that start?
So we start with a kind of a broad concept. So this one I think was like maybe it should be a monster show.
Yeah.
And then that sort of becomes a title and some key artwork once we have a kind of a sense for the vibe that we want the show to have.
Right.
And then really it's casting, like it's about casting.
Yeah.
And that's usually less geared towards story and more geared towards just like finding the best circus acts we possibly can that we know are going to fit together well, or isn't something that we've like repeated in past. We try to bring lots of new stuff to any show. So we cast for just a pure, like, as if it was a variety show that didn't have a story necessarily.
Yeah.
We find some great some great clowns, some great acrobats, some great different types of acts that folks in our audience may not have ever seen before. So then we put that together, and then around that core we write the story, and that's with a small team. Usually our clowns are often central characters in the show, maybe another performer or two, and myself and my mom.
Yeah.
We'll start to write the show. Meanwhile, we're also working with our creative team. We've got this incredible creative team from St. Louis, set design, Peter and Marjorie Spack.
Yeah.
Nina Reed is our costume designer. Jesse Alford does our lighting design. Janine Delarte is our music director. Laura Skrosker is our prop designer. Like all these amazing artists who really we try to sort of give it all a direction, but then all these pieces start to come into place from these amazing minds that end up with a giant circus show that you sort of need. You need so many hands to be able to do this.
I know, it's like all these acts, and I've had you mentioned Shakespeare, you mentioned all these, and I've had them on here, and I've had a lot of different things on here, but it's like you work all year for a couple weeks, and then
Yeah.
you do it all over again, and it never stops.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the fun part is like, let me try to top what we did last year,
Mhm.
but also that's cool that you get the performer, because I'm thinking of it like, first of all, where do you find the people? How do you make sure that they're all available for that long?
Yeah.
That's all the things. Is like, because is there a marketplace for this?
Yeah, there's not an easy one. No.
Okay,
mean,
I was gonna
it's-
say, like, should we create one?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to develop that, that'd be great. Yeah. No. It's that's kind of my puzzle to solve is how to cast the best circus show, and that's it sort of is from all kinds of places. Some folks, there's folks who have never been at Circus Flora before, but I have a multi-year conversation going on with them to be like, what about next year? Like, how's your June looking then? Like, what let's maybe think about this for 3 years from now. Like, there's a few folks who I would love to have, but it hasn't yet worked out, and sometimes it does work out, and that's and they're in our cast now. So you just like have the feelers out and have the conversations going,
Mhm.
and that's from working in the industry for a long time, just kind of knowing people. Sometimes folks will recommend other folks, and then we connect in that way. Seeing lots of circuses,
Yeah.
Instagram,
Instagram
TikTok,
helps.
Facebook. Like it's just getting a sense for who's out there, what kind of acts are. Sometimes we're like, we know a person, we're like, this person's gonna be great, let's get them. Sometimes it's like, we would love to have this particular type of act in this show because it's gonna fit well, or we know our
Mhm.
audience will like it.
Yeah.
And we go get it and bring it.
So that's amazing. Because I always like wondered how that, because like all these people have different contracts with different places, and it's like, okay, like I don't know if June, like obviously you guys always do it in the summer, but it's like, how does that match up with other people's schedule? Obviously, travel Midwest kind of helps because you're kind of you can kind of get there a little
Mhm.
easier, but like still, it's like you're dealing with a bunch of different personalities, and like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
tough.
mean, some people are as circus artists. Some people are on these long contracts. They're on a multi-year contract with Cirque du Soleil for a show in Vegas, and they're on that. But also then sometimes they finish that contract and they're available, and there's a little bit of needing to keep track of that.
Right.
I think also for a lot of artists, and excuse me for this, but
Yeah.
we're a bucket list show to be a part of. Like
Of
people
course.
people really want to come be in Circus Flora because they know it's a great show. They know that we have a great loyal audience who expects it to be a great show. Like
Yeah.
that, they're a part of something that's really special within the company, and then also in our Circus Flora's relationship with St. Louis. Like there's something very unique here that is, I think among the performer community, something that people really know is a great place to be in June. So I think
Mhm.
there's certainly a lot of people also knocking on the door to
Yeah.
come and try to work with us.
That's great. Yeah, that helps a lot, and to be able to be a part of something that people want to be a part of, and you guys have created that in St. Louis. So, obviously you've had memorable moments. Is there any like bucket list moments over the years of like things that just like you just sat there on opening night and were like, wow, we did that. I'm sure you have them every year. I'm sure you're about to have one on Thursday night too.
Yeah, I mean, I think what
Yeah.
happens is like you were describing the kind of year-round like process of building, and then it all culminates. And I think that's like that gets really well accentuated in a Circus Flora show.
Yeah.
So like we're putting all this work in right now. Everyone's like in the tent and sweaty and running our opening number a bunch of times. Like
Right.
all that's happening. And so we're putting in that work, and then like as we get into the early performances, it starts to all come together. Obviously, that's the hope. Knock on
Hmm.
wood.
Yeah.
But we, we get to these moments in the show where like we've told a story that's, I don't know, funny or beautiful or whatever is the vibe that we're going for, leading into some act. Someone's been they're deep into their like 7 minute acrobatic act. And it's like culminating in their biggest trick, their best trick. Our band is playing, that at high volume. Like we've picked the perfect piece that's like accentuated this. It like, we all of circus and all of our job is really like building up and accentuating these like incredible moments that we find of these amazing performers.
Hmm.
And so I think we have the ability to support all that with like great lighting design, like great music, and this like incredible trick that no one's ever seen before. Like we can bring all that together for these moments that I think are really they hit hard.
So throughout the 2 hours, you have those moments where you're like, okay, boom, we killed that. Boom, we're gonna work on that one. Boom, we're gonna redo that a little bit, and you tweak the show a little bit, or it's just, I
Yeah.
mean, you,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're always going to tweak the show
yeah,
through the end of the,
yeah,
in small ways. Like
yeah,
it starts as a giant lump of clay, and then it starts to like get more and more finely tuned, and
yeah,
we hit our grooves, and we learn the rhythm of it. There's you sort of like it's like finding the rhythm of what a show is supposed to be.
yeah,
But it just takes a lot of like there's just a lot of bodies to move around, a lot of
yeah,
people who have to move this at just the right time, and the music has to
yeah.
underscore this at just the right time, and
Hmm.
it's all these like all these little moments that really like build into what is in the end like this big incredible show.
Yeah. So Circus Flora, 39 years. Obviously, next year 40. That's huge.
Yeah.
Anything with a zero at the end is always a big year. So looking at the future, I mean, what are your long term goals with Circus Flora? I mean, and do you have any specific ones?
I mean, we'd love to, for one, just keep making these incredible world class shows that we make. That's I think the first order of business is make sure that we're in a good place to do that,
Yeah.
financially, structurally, et cetera. And we are. It's an organization that I think it's we went through COVID,
Yeah.
and like it's there's been hard times obviously, but I think we're now in a really nice spot to thrive in the future. So that's really great. I mean, we have this wonderful partnership with the Kranzberg Arts Foundation, who own and operate the Big Top, and we're always figuring out with them what's some new exciting plans for future that I'm not ready to talk about yet. But
Yeah.
we're I think we see like some like revitalization of the tent and of our space and
Yeah.
so forth. Like that's a key need. But yeah, and then other productions. I mean, we're always talking to other local organizations about collaborations and about different things we might be able to do. Like historically we've had some great collaborations with the St. Louis Symphony. Like we've had a few productions in Powell Hall before it's been renovated. Like
Hmm.
the symphony with the circus happening in front of it. So I think we're always exploring and really open to some nice collaborations like that. So I think that's the idea, is to be really really solid and do this great work for the people of St. Louis, and
Hmm.
I think it really feels rewarding when we do.
So, do you ever get the feeling when the show's over that you're like, man, I wish we could keep going for another month? Or like, I'm sure you get that all the time. You're like, man, we can go for another month. Like, and this could be, is it just the 1 month, or is there opportunity to do, like you said, with other shows and other collaborations, you could kind of keep things going a little bit. But
Yeah, I think it's possible
yeah,
to do that, or maybe another time of year we could come up with a sort of wintertime production to do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's exhausting to run and operate a circus. So
yeah,
there's it's nice to get a little break afterwards. But yeah, I think it would be great to have some other productions year round. What we do year round, that's really, it's a bit quieter because we're not, inviting an audience in to see it, but we have some great year round programming. Our Clowns on Call program is we have hospital clowns, like clowns that we send into local children's hospitals. We've got some partnerships with SSM Health Cardinal Glennon, with Rankin Jordan, with Siteman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and we send these clown performers into hospital rooms, and they can really, do some amazing things to help. Excuse me. They can, it might be distracting a kid from an upcoming procedure that's really scary. It might be entertaining their sibling because the family has so much to deal with. Like, it's this really like wonderful program with these really sensitive performers. So, the
yeah.
idea is we sort of bring a little taste of the big top to the hospital rooms.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And yeah, the Big Top just is like such a iconic place in St. Louis. We've been to STL Fest has been there. There's just a ton of like events that I could like nonprofit events. We did a food event there where there's a bunch of
Yeah.
food vendors. Like we've been there so many different times.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
it's an amazing place. I mean, we like to think that we're using it in the way that it was intended originally. Like,
of course.
putting a circus in there feels so great and natural, and that's it. I love the energy in there. But yeah, it's awesome for concerts and music
Yeah.
at the intersection, and like
Yes. Yeah.
there's so much you can do with this. It's such a unique space to be in a circus tent, and it's my favorite place to be.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, you're in St. Louis. A lot of times when you're here, you're working. But when you're not working, what are some of those places that you guys like to go to? Maybe like after, you guys usually get done pretty late, so you're out of there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe like pre-show, like what are some, you mentioned like Shakespeare, you mentioned some other places, but
Mhm.
like talk to me about some food places you guys like to hit up, and then maybe like some other like cool experiences. You always come, you're like, I'm going there when I go to St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, within our district, like that's one of the places that we are the most, certainly. Like
Yeah.
we're around our neighborhood. Fountain on Locust is a place that I love.
Yeah.
They're also a great partner of ours. The food's delicious. The
Yeah.
the drinks and the
Ice cream
ice cream.
martinis. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good after show meal or after
Yeah,
show martini.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When we have we got our Sunday shows are done about 6:30, so we
Yeah.
have chance to go do something like that.
That's awesome.
I love Fountain on Locust. Pappy's Barbecue is just a couple blocks from the Big Top. That's a great
Yeah.
spot before a show, before an afternoon show. Well, I don't know. For me, who doesn't have to perform, that's a
Yeah.
great spot before a
Yeah,
show.
you
I
can
don't
eat
know.
all the carbs and all the
Yeah.
meat, and everybody else is like, "Man, I'm trying to stay, like, ready."
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and the Urban Chestnut is like just a couple blocks down. Like I love going to their beer garden there.
yeah.
And then especially when my kids are in town or around and looking for something to do. I mean, we go to City Museum a lot. We have a great relationship with City Museum, and
Mm.
and like it's just such a unique space, and we
It's
we
probably
love it.
one of the I mean, you're in New York, so you've been to a lot of places, but you've also but, like, everybody that comes on the show says the City Museum, and I mean, I feel like it's one of the coolest places in the world. It has to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Even
gotta
I
be.
think even talking to folks who have visited St. Louis but don't have like a relationship with it otherwise. Like it's such a if you've been to City Museum, it's such a touchstone. It's such a
Mhm, mhm.
there's I've never seen any place like it. It's so unique and wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, Pappy's, City Museum, and then do your kids have any places they like, or they just eat whatever wherever? It doesn't
They love Circus Flora. They
uh,
love Circus
they
Flora.
love the hot dogs and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and the concessions and
Yep.
all that. Yeah, that's perfect then.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
So no, Jack, I appreciate you for coming on, and we're gonna post the event. Obviously, there's only a couple dates are sold out, but we'll post all the show dates. So I think I counted them up. It's like what 22 different shows, 21.
I think more than that, closer to 27.
Okay,
Yeah,
27.
we do. We've got performances every day except for Mondays. Yeah, and sometimes 2 or 3 shows a day. So we end up
Oh, okay.
doing
Yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah.
10 to 12 in a week. But yeah, it's there's plenty of opportunities to come see us. It's a nice big tent. But tickets are going fast, and we're only here until June 22nd, so you got to hurry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, Zach. Jack, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.